Hello there, good people. So glad to see and be with you today. So, today we're going to be talking about building forward for future you now. Because the reality is that's what needs to be happening. And I see the mistake being made so often where that's not what's happening, and then you get caught up in, you know, drama later on as a result. And you don't have to do that. So, before we jump in too far, I want to ask you to please hit the like, thumbs up, and subscribe buttons so that we can generate more interest in the channel that's been revived and to make sure that other folks like yourself who might be interested in this conversation will get access to it. Okay, so normally, whenever I have a topic and it comes up, and it seems like, well, where'd that come from? I like to share what instigated it. So I am the queen of sticky notes. I own it. Like I should own stock, and I do not. But I have forever always kept little notes to myself, encouraging notes, reminders, all of that. But I keep them on my desk. And the ones that I really want to come back to and hopefully make sure I ingrain it. Like I keep them out on my desk in some way. So I have a little stack of them that sometimes I'll flip through, or if I'm really feeling pressed, I literally stick it on something so that I can actually see it when I'm at my desk. So this particular note, I don't remember when I put it there. I never date them, but I was uh, doing some things around my desk and it kind of fell off. So I'm not even sure where it was. It didn't seem like it was in the right place. And literally it says, "Are you charging enough for future you? Future you needs to retire." And I was like, "Oh, that was me absolutely talking to myself about like where you are, where I am, where I was at that moment in time to make sure that I'm not just taking care of myself today, but for the future." And that made me think about the fact of like, are we, you, me, all of us, are we truly building forward for our future? Or are we just kind of, you know, waving around, just kind of drifting along? And a lot of times, especially during times of social upheaval, economic downturns, and things like that, folks lose um, that sense of direction, um, a sense of purpose, even because you're just focused on like, I got to get through today, right? I've got to get through today. I've got to get through this week. I got to get through this month. And so it becomes very linear and very tunnel vision when it comes to your goals, your dreams. What are the things that you're actually looking forward to? And I want to challenge you to pull back from that and take the bigger 40,000 foot look. And I know it's hard, and everybody's not going to do it. A lot of people don't, right? Because it's very much, and it's a mindset issue. There's fear, there's all kinds of issues that can play into it, but it requires effort to actually pull back and take a longer, bigger view of what's actually going on around you, not just for today, but for future you, right? And it requires sitting down and slowing down. And that can seem difficult in the midst of so many other things going on. But yet it can be done. And it requires, like I said, an effort, a deliberate effort to do so. And that's one of those things that I do on the regular, especially if I'm feeling myself like drift away, like I'm just kind of out there and I'm like, what am I really doing right now? And that's my personal cue of it is time for you to go sit with a cup of coffee and a journal and some sunshine and get back on track. And back on track, not in a, oh, you got to do one, two, three, four, but mentally back on track for what it is I'm really wanting to do, trying to do, goals, all of that. Even pulling out, old, what I call my idea journal, and flipping through that and reminding myself of not just where I've come from, but where I've already said I want to go. Sometimes it's not really that hard if you've actually taken the time to sit down and write out what goals you have, what dreams you have. It could be as simple as pulling up those journals, those notes, wherever they are, whether they're electronic, on your phone, on your iPad, wherever they are, but pulling those back and taking a look at that. That's one of those things I do a lot as well. I generally try to do it at least 2 times a year. At the end of the calendar year, beginning of the new year, I try to do that not just for the previous 12 months, but even a couple of years back to see, like, did I really shift with the way I was thinking with some things? And did I accomplish things, or where did I have to veer or make adjustments? And during the course of the year, maybe about mid-year or so, or unless something very dramatic happens at a particular point in the year, then I'll pull back and take a look as well. And sometimes it doesn't have to be all of that. Sometimes it's just in a moment while I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling off course, and feeling like something's not right. It's, let me sit, let's take a moment, let me review what I've thought, what was going on. Maybe even call a trusted confidant, um, colleague, friend to share some thoughts with. And most of the time, when you do that, you recognize you're not alone, right? If you have a professional help, like a coach or something like that, where you can like bounce those ideas off of, that's also a great resource as well. But the point is to, number one, take time to reflect on what it is you actually want for yourself. And here's the thing, doing that right now, today, is really important so that you can be clear about what it is you want for future you. And sometimes you just have to write it down. Like, future me wants to be, for my note, clearly future me want, back then, and still true, I want make sure that future me is charging enough, is preparing for whatever, quote, retirement. I really don't believe in retirement, but making adjustments to whatever my schedule is going to be in the coming years. I want to be prepared for that. And I don't necessarily have to know exactly what's going to happen or lay out very specific plans, but I may know that, hey, future me wants to make sure that I have the finances, I have the resources that I need to not just be successful in work and business, but also to continue to enjoy my life, to go engage in some travel that I haven't been able to do just yet, to go see some shows on Broadway again, whatever that might be. Writing those things down, it may seem like, oh, well, that's just like big dream. But if you don't dream for future you now, what are you going to do? Like, sometimes people don't want to because you're scared. And it's a real thing. And it's okay to be scared, because it puts you out of your comfort zone to be thinking ahead in a way that may even seem unrealistic, or, dare I say, impossible right now. That doesn't mean that you still shouldn't take care of who you will be in the future starting today. So take the time, engage in the reflection, have some conversations, and maybe you need a new list. Maybe that's part of why you're feeling a little off, is maybe some of those things don't apply to you anymore, and you need to make a fresh list. I encourage you to do that, right? and to lay the building blocks, because today is one thing. So once you take that reflection, you identify what it is that you want for yourself in the future, then you decide today, tomorrow, this week, each month, what is one step that you're going to take towards that thing. So, for example, if I know that I want to really get back into traveling, and not just around the US, but eventually around, the country, the world, then there are certain things you gotta have. You gotta have a passport, right? You gotta have some places that you think you might wanna. Where might you want to go? Who might you want to travel with? Like, having those conversations and building it, like, keeps that dream and those goals alive, even though right now the world looks really crazy, and it's like, girl, you're not going to be traveling anywhere out of the country anytime soon. It's a little nutsy out there, and yet people are still doing it. So that's that thing. So when you hear that negativity ringing in your ears, and in your head about, oh, well, that can't happen because, well, it's like, yeah, and someone is probably out there doing the very exact thing. Go find them, right? I keep a running list. I have a couple of different running lists. So, sticking with this travel thing, I keep a running list of places that I want to go. And it's not just another like sightseeing thing or whatever. Like, I have this thing about visiting um, famous libraries. I'm a book nerd, love me some books, the library, all of that. Well, I want to visit these architectural gems that are libraries all across the country and the world. So I keep a running list. When they come across my Instagram, I save them in a little group. When I find places that I know that I want to visit, I keep a running list in my notes in my phone. And then when I create my goals for the next 3 to 5 years, I try to plot where might I want to go that year, right? This next year, I want to go, see these people, or I might want to, visit this person. I have friends in other countries who are like, hey, come on, whenever. So why would I not make the plan for future me to engage in that? I don't have to have all the details. I can just write it down. I'm going to Canada. I'm going to Australia, right? I'm going to where is that? I have some other friends. I think they're in Italy or Spain, and they were. I just that was last year. They were like, when you're ready, come along. And so I write them down, and then I start trying to plot when might this be possible for me? Not just possible, when might I want it to be possible for me to do this? In a year, in 2 years, what are the things I need to do? Like, for example, I know going to Australia is a big trip, you know? It's not an inexpensive trip. So that one's going to be probably a couple of years off. That doesn't mean I don't still plan for future me to make that trip, because I don't have that money sitting around waiting to happen right now today, because I'm living life today. That's right. I'm living life today, and I am planning for tomorrow. Not just, what those things that will be helpful to other people, but those things that are enjoyable to me, right? And that could, expand. So a whole other thing is like, well, if I know that I'm revamping some of the work that I do, where are some of those opportunities where I might be able to engage in some of that work while I'm traveling? So there are so many opportunities, and I don't want you or me to get overwhelmed by them, but rather to be inspired by them. Don't let the potential opportunities overwhelm you. Let them inspire you, so that you right now can be excited about what you in the future is going to get to do, right? So that's the thing I really want to share with you today. Make sure you engage in some reflection time. Make sure that you have a conversation with someone to help you work through whatever it is that you think you might want to build out for yourself for the future. And then start taking action, little steps, baby steps, each day, each week, each month, and plan it out. A put a timeline on it. If the timeline changes, that's fine. That happens all the time. But if you don't put a timeline on it at all, guess what? You're just like pushing it out and making it seem like, well, no, that can't really happen for you. Well, it's going to happen for me. I'm going to do some traveling. I may not know all the ins and outs and wins and hows right now, but I do know it is going to happen. And one of the things that inspires me about this as well is I try to encourage that in others. I think about my daughter who loves to travel, has traveled, in some places, some cases, uh, if not more than me, as much as me. Definitely, she's been out of the country, which I hadn't. I've been out of the country, but like just like down in Mexico or something like that. She's done some further travel, but she loves that, and she aligns herself with people and friends and other folks who enjoy that as well. Guess what? That supports your ability and your desire to want to do that. Surround yourself with people who have like-minded goals and dreams. They don't have to be the same, but they have to be existing. Like they're not just holed up thinking about only about today. They're also planning for their future in spite of what's going on today. That's the thing. In spite of what's going on around you today, still having the wherewithal to plan for your future, right? And there's nothing better than being able to share that time, those goals, those dreams with other people who are also doing the same thing. I love working with my clients because, you know, I talk about how I require them to re-engage in a hobby. And sometimes that hobby turns into something much bigger than they actually even thought of at the time. And they build it into their lives, not just for now, but also into the future. Right. And that makes my heart happy because that is a part of building forward for future you. So it could be as simple as an engaging in a new hobby. And it's not that that new hobby is going to become some big thing that takes off. But what it does do is encourage you to think new, new thoughts, engage in fresh opportunities, do things to feed your creativity, and be more curious about life and other people, and that will feed building for it for yourself as well. Okay, so that's a nice simple question. Like, what is future you want? What do you want to see for yourself in a couple of years, in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years? I don't know what the timeline is. You define it for yourself and then start laying the pathway for it to come to fruition right now today. Ah, love that. Once again, I ask you to, if you haven't already, hit the like, thumbs up button and subscribe to help push this out to other folks. Feel free to share. I'd love to hear from you in the comments, so that if I'm curious to hear what is it that you're doing for future you, or have you not even thought about it? Would love to hear from you what that looks like for you. And always remember that celebrating you is a power move. So I want you to take that step, one baby step every single day. It doesn't have to be some big, huge thing, but sometimes we know it's the little things. Sometimes it's being able to make that pot of coffee, or maybe you made it to a meeting on time. I don't know what it is, but celebrate that for yourself because you are absolutely worth it. All right. Take care and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.